Think the Middle Ages were all about violence, superstition, and ignorance? Think again. A new book, Medieval Horizons by historian Ian Mortimer, argues that this period was far more dynamic and progressive than commonly believed. But can we really accept that the Middle Ages had a bright side? In public, your bottom should emit no secret winds past your thighs. It disgraces you if other people notice any of your smelly filth. This curious piece of advice for young courtiers in the early 13th century appears in The Book of the Civilized Man, a poem by Daniel of Beccles. This text, the first English guide to manners, offers a glimpse into the social etiquette and norms of the time, reflecting a society that valued decorum and public behavior. Ian Mortimer argues that this and other popular works of advice that began appearing around the same time represent something significant: a growing sense of social self-awareness, self-evaluation, and self-control. This period saw the emergence of individualism, where people began to see themselves as distinct entities within society, a concept that was previously less pronounced. Why then? Probably because of the revival of glass mirrors in the 12th century, which had disappeared from Europe after the fall of Rome. Mirrors allowed men and women to see themselves as others did, confirming their individuality and inspiring a greater sense of autonomy and potential. By 1500, mirrors were cheap, and their impact had spread through society. Mr. Mortimer sets out to show that the medieval period from 1000 to 1600 is profoundly misunderstood. It was not a backward and unchanging time marked by violence, ignorance, and superstition. Instead, huge steps in social and economic progress were made, laying the foundations of the modern world. For instance, the period witnessed significant advancements in architecture, with the construction of monumental cathedrals and castles that showcased sophisticated engineering and artistic skills. The misapprehension comes from the fact that people's notion of progress is so bound up with scientific and technological developments that came later, particularly with the industrial and digital revolutions. The author recounts one claim he has heard, that a contemporary schoolchild armed with her iPhone knows more about the world than the greatest scientist of the 16th century. However, this overlooks the profound intellectual achievements of medieval scholars and scientists, who laid the groundwork for many modern scientific principles. Never mind that astronomers such as Copernicus and Galileo knew much more about the stars than most children do today. Could a modern architect, without his computer, build a stone spire like Lincoln Cathedral's, which is 160 meters, 525 feet tall, and was completed by 1311? Between 1000 and 1300, the height of the London skyline quintupled, whereas between 1300 and the completion of the 72-story Shard in 2010, it only doubled. Inventions, including gunpowder, the magnetic compass, and the printing press, all found their way from China to transform war, navigation, and literacy. These innovations not only revolutionized their respective fields, but also had far-reaching impacts on global exploration, communication, and military strategy. This led to many expanding horizons for Europeans. Travel was one. In the 11th century, no European had any idea what lay to the east of Jerusalem or south of the Sahara. By 1600, there had been several circumnavigations of the globe. This era of exploration opened up new trade routes, cultural exchanges, and the spread of ideas, significantly altering the European worldview. Law and order was another frontier. Thanks to the arrival of paper from China in the 12th century and the advent of the printing press in the 1430s, document creation and record keeping, which are fundamental to administration, surged. Between 1000 and 1600, the number of words written and printed in England went from about 1 million a year to around 100 billion. In England, a centralized legal and criminal justice system evolved rapidly from the 12th century. Violent deaths declined from around 23 per 100,000 in the 1300s to 7 per 100,000 in the late 16th century. This period also saw the establishment of universities and the codification of laws, which contributed to more structured and stable societies. Another horizon was speed and the sense of urgency that went with it. By 1600, a letter bearing important news could be carried 200 miles in a single day, thanks to people starting to use relays of horses at staging posts. Over the course of the 14th century, Mechanical clocks were developed, allowing time to be standardized and appointments to be kept. This innovation in timekeeping not only improved daily life, but also had significant implications for trade, travel, and the organization of society. The period was also marked by growing personal freedom, with the banning of slavery within England by the English Church in 1102, and the rapid decline of serfdom after the Black Death of 1348-49, when nearly half the labor force died. Political power expanded to include a growing land and property-owning yeoman class. This shift in social structure led to increased economic opportunities and the rise of a more diverse and dynamic middle class. Whoever thinks the Middle Ages were all darkness has a middling understanding of history's truths. During the Middle Ages, significant strides were made in the field of medicine. Medical schools, such as those in Salerno and Montpellier, became renowned centers of learning. The translation of ancient Greek and Arabic medical texts into Latin provided a foundation for medical knowledge. Public health measures, such as quarantines and the establishment of hospitals, were implemented to combat epidemics like the Black Death. The Middle Ages witnessed a remarkable flourishing of art and culture. Gothic architecture, characterized by its pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses, transformed the skylines of European cities. Illuminated manuscripts, such as the Book of Kells, showcased the intricate artistry of medieval scribes. The period also saw the rise of troubadours and minstrels who contributed to the rich tapestry of medieval music and literature. Agricultural practices underwent significant improvements during the Middle Ages. The introduction of the three-field system allowed for more efficient crop rotation, leading to increased agricultural productivity. The heavy plow and horse collar revolutionized farming techniques, enabling farmers to cultivate heavier soils and expand arable land. These innovations contributed to population growth and the development of more complex societies. The medieval period also saw the expansion of trade networks and the growth of a market economy. The Hanseatic League, a commercial and defensive confederation of merchant guilds and market towns, dominated trade in the Baltic and North Sea regions. The establishment of fairs and markets facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture. The use of coinage and the development of banking systems, including the establishment of the Medici Bank, laid the groundwork for modern financial practices. The Middle Ages were a time of significant intellectual and philosophical development. The scholastic movement, led by figures such as Thomas Aquinas, sought to reconcile faith and reason, laying the groundwork for modern philosophy and theology. The establishment of universities, such as the University of Paris and the University of Oxford, created centers of learning that fostered intellectual exchange and debate. In addition to the printing press, the Middle Ages saw numerous technological innovations that transformed daily life. The development of watermills and windmills improved agricultural and industrial productivity. The invention of spectacles in the 13th century enhanced vision for many, contributing to greater literacy and learning. Advances in metallurgy, such as the blast furnace, revolutionized the production of iron and steel, leading to stronger tools and weapons. The medieval period was marked by the evolution of social and political structures. The feudal system, with its complex hierarchy of lords, vassals, and serfs, defined the social and economic relationships of the time. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, established the principle that the king was subject to the law, laying the foundation for constitutional governance. The rise of powerful monarchies and the formation of nation-states such as England and France began to shape the political landscape of Europe. Religion played a central role in medieval life, influencing art, culture, and politics. The construction of grand cathedrals, such as Notre Dame de Paris and Chartres Cathedral, reflected the importance of the church. Monasticism flourished, with orders like the Benedictines and Cistercians contributing to agricultural and intellectual advancements. The period also saw significant religious movements, such as the Crusades and the rise of mendicant orders like the Franciscans and Dominicans, which aimed to reform and renew the church. Women in the Middle Ages Ages played crucial roles in various aspects of society. Noblewomen often managed estates and played key roles in political alliances through marriage. Women in religious orders, such as Hildegard of Bingen and Clare of Assisi, made significant contributions to theology, music, and literature. The period also saw the emergence of influential female mystics and visionaries, whose writings and teachings inspired many. Medieval societies demonstrated an awareness of environmental management. Practices such as crop rotation, forest management, and the construction of irrigation systems reflected a sophisticated understanding of sustainable agriculture. The establishment of common lands and the regulation of natural resources, such as fisheries and forests, helped to balance the needs of communities with the preservation of the environment. All of this demonstrates that modern civilization, brilliant inventions, and economic development did not emerge from nothing. To a significant extent, the foundation of today's complex and dynamic world was laid during the Middle Ages. Stay tuned as we continue to cover fascinating economic history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful updates. You can also support Economic Insights on Patreon. The link is down below. See you in the next video.